stabbed in a lunchtime brawl on a school campus. Parents are calling for better security. Plus, a man charged with the murder of an Olympian on Abaco. And 1 year later, how the PLP is faring leading up to the September 16th election anniversary. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. An Anatole Rogers Junior High School student is in hospital tonight after he was stabbed multiple times during a lunch break. Parents tell our news they are concerned the school needs to beef up security. Berthany McDermott joins us in studio with more on this. Berthany?
Christina, the Anatole High School was placed on lockdown this afternoon after the daily lunch break took a violent turn. According to police press liaison officers, Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skippings, the boy was stabbed multiple times with a sharp object.
It's reported that the incident occurred at the rear of the campus on the junior side of the property, which resulted in a 14-year-old male student being stabbed multiple times. The student was taken to a hospital where presently he is in surgery.
Skipping says all the boys involved are between the ages of 14 and 15 years old. She said the assailant hopped the school fence and escaped immediately following the incident.
I believe that they should have a proper scanning system for when the kids come into the school, because that hand scanner don't really work 100%, you know? And so when you send your children to school, you don't expect to hear something like this going on.
Only to learn that they had a stabbing here, and I think we need to get to the bottom of this.
Some parents also say they were not informed that a violent incident occurred on campus today. Skippings doesn't believe increased police presence is the answer.
This school really don't have no incidents. This is a very safe school. It is just an unfortunate situation that happened here today. And so I don't see the need for putting additional manpower. We have 3 officers who were here.
Christina, police telling us they know who is responsible for today's stabbing and are appealing to the child's parents to turn him in.
Thanks, Berthany. Meanwhile, a Supreme Court judge has dismissed a lawsuit brought by a teacher who was injured during an attack by S.C. McPherson students in 2016. Desmond Darville sustained a broken shoulder when students hit him with bottles while taunting him with gay slurs on May 30th. Darville sued the minister responsible for education, science, and technology, as well as the Attorney General, for negligence, accusing them of failing to ensure that security officers were stationed at the lunch pavilion. He was at the school to invigilate Bahamas Junior Certificate examinations for 9th grade students. Darville said he still experiences pain and weakness in his left shoulder and arm. As a result, Darville said he no longer earns extra income by teaching evening art classes at Sip and Paint, draping for special functions, teaching and selling pottery, creating costume designs for Carnival and Junkanoo, along with freelance interior decorating. Nayoshi Simonet, the lunch vendor who witnessed the attack, described the pavilion as a, quote, hot spot for deviants. She said she also witnessed attacks on a security guard as well as a student. In dismissing Darville's lawsuit, Senior Justice Indra Charles said he failed to prove the attack was reasonably foreseeable since the past attacks at the pavilion were between students. Although he lost the lawsuit, the judge did not order Darville to pay costs. And police are searching and asking for your help in finding 2 missing teens. One of them is 13-year-old Jemiah Williams. Police describe the teen as standing between 5'2" and 5'4" inches tall with a slim build. A missing poster was also issued for 15-year-old Keyshawn Taylor. The Hospital Lane resident is described as slim and between 5 feet 5 inches and 5 feet 7 inches tall. Both teens were last seen on Friday, September 9th, Taylor in the Pastel Gardens area and Williams on Raymond Road. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. And a 28-year-old man facing a Freeport magistrate today for the murder of Olympian Chavez Hart. Cooperstown Abaco resident Dylan Jordan appeared before Deputy Chief Magistrate Debbie Ferguson. Hart died after he was fatally shot in the parking lot of an Abaco bar on September 3rd. Jordan was not required to enter a plea and was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections until January 25th, 2023. In other court news, an English tourist accused of groping a woman at the Breezes Resort has been remanded to prison. 26-year-old Steen Nielsen of London allegedly put his hand in the woman's swimsuit and touched her intimately. The incident allegedly happened in the pool. Nielsen didn't have to enter a plea to the indecent assault charge when he appeared before Magistrate Shaka Serville. His next court date is in December 6th, when he's expected to be served with a voluntary bill of indictment, which will send the case to the Supreme Court for trial. Well, another hot and cloudy evening outside the R News studios. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is over in the Weather Center with our current conditions. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, Christina, it's another warm evening outside our studios right now. Temperatures, well, we've been stuck in that warm weather pattern. 87 degrees outside, few clouds. We had a couple of isolated thunderstorms here in the capital to the west. The winds out of the east-northeast at 6 miles per hour, and your feels like temperature very, very warm, 95 degrees out there. So it's rather muggy on the outside. Satellite view, quiet across areas. Weak ridge of high pressure is in charge. And like I said, we've been stuck in this warm weather pattern. There's a weak frontal boundary out to the east of the island. Some of that moisture will be transported across our area, so we're seeing an uptick in shower activity throughout the night and into tomorrow. But the bulk of the moisture is out in the Gulf of Mexico, and that will continue to stay west of us. That's all associated with an upper level low that's spinning near the Cuban area. So more showers tonight through tomorrow, and warm temperatures once again. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, a silent and solemn procession watched by thousands as the coffin of the late Queen Elizabeth is taken along the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. And it's been nearly 1 year since the PLP secured its 2021 general election win. A look back on what has and hasn't happened so far. Plus, the sister of a man murdered over the weekend keeps his memory alive. That's coming up when our news returns.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
You are looking at live pictures outside Buckingham Palace at this hour after the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II, who died on Thursday after 70 years on the throne. The Queen, Britain's longest reigning sovereign and the world's oldest monarch, had been suffering from what Buckingham Palace has called episodic mobility problems since the end of last year. The coffin of the late Queen Elizabeth was taken along the Royal Mile in the Scottish capital, Edinburgh, today, in a silent and solemn procession watched by thousands of people lining the street to pay their respects to Britain's longest-serving monarch. King Charles and his siblings, Anne, Andrew, and Edward, walked behind the hearse up the historic street, the Royal Company of Archers providing the guard of honor. The coffin will lie in St. Giles Cathedral for an overnight vigil before being flown to London on Tuesday. King Charles also visiting the Scottish Parliament today, mounting a vigil along with other royals. On Wednesday, the Queen's coffin will begin a period of lying in state at Westminster Hall. It's expected to remain there until early on the day of her state funeral. Mourners along today's route sharing tearful reactions.
We've travelled up from Durham, and you pay that ultimate respect to someone who's led us, guided us with humanity and courage, and then to see her like lying in state like that, just it's the awe of it all.
Deeply moving, solemn. Emotional. Yeah, it was a very special moment.
We've been on the go since 4 o'clock this morning. And we started queuing about 8 o'clock down at the Meadows to get these wristbands to get in. But it's been worth it.
Meanwhile, royalists are already setting up camp near Buckingham Palace ahead of the Queen's funeral procession. UK resident Maria Scott is camping out with her family. She says she was fortunate to meet the Queen at Windsor Castle on her 90th birthday. Scott says they secured their spot on Saturday to make sure they were in the best position to pay their respects.
She gives 70 years of ballet service to us, and 10 days is nothing in respect of what she's given to us.
To our news this week for continuing coverage honoring the late Queen. In other news, in just a few days, the Progressive Liberal Party will celebrate and observe its 2021 election win. The journey to that victory at the polls was a short one, but it had its fair share of political drama. In this report, our Jasmine Brown takes a look back at the road to the September 2021 general election.
After months of speculation that then Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis would call an early election, the former FNM leader did just that, making a national address on August 19th, 2021.
It is time for you, the people, to choose who you will elect to form the next government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
In that national address, Dr. Minnis revealed the election would be held on September 16th. With just under a month to campaign, the two major political parties, third parties, and even independents hit the ground running, looking to get the most of the little time they had to secure votes. From hundreds of posters promoting dozens of candidates popping up across town to drive-up rallies aimed at clamping down on large, maskless crowds during an ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the campaign season was like no other before it. Then there was nomination day.
Over 100 political hopefuls officially entered the race for Parliament at nomination centers across the country.
The fanfare of nomination day would give the country a taste of what was to come. Weeks later, just over 19,000 people registered for the advanced poll and cast their early votes on September 9th, many describing the process as chaotic.
The elderly and disabled were packed like sardines, and the pushing and shoving even caused one woman to hyperventilate.
Officials would later apologize for the chaos and promise a more organized process for Election Day, which would be held just 7 days later. On September 16th, 2021, the people voted, sending the Free National Movement packing and ushering in the Davis administration. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, an Exuma resort sees sales trending down. The executive chairman weighs in.
All right, plus, Christina, coming up in Sports for You United, we'll tell you all about the season debut of Mike Strachan in the Colts going up against the Houston Texans. We'll tell you about how that went down. We'll also give you the latest on Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun. They're down 0-1 in the WNBA Finals. That's all coming up in sports.
And a Junkanoo is remembered after a tragic murder. We speak with his family about the shocking loss. Stay with us.
Got size at 6'5". Hi, this is Shamik.
This is our news. Welcome back. Sandals Resorts International Executive Chairman Adam Stewart speaking out for the first time since 3 Americans died at the Sandals Emerald Bay property. He says the property on Great Exuma has seen a decrease in bookings after the carbon monoxide poisoning deaths of 3 guests in their villas in May. He also offered this explanation.
A little bit, and partially because of our own global campaigns out of respect for the ongoing investigation and the situation. We've taken a very particular stance with the hotel, so we have seen a bit.
Shifting gears, members of the Abaco business community are gearing up for the 18th annual Abaco Business Outlook slated for Thursday. The one-day event will once again be virtual, according to coordinator Joan Albury, who speaks to the importance of getting Abaco business back on track 3 years after Hurricane Dorian.
We cover a number of subjects, and the value is not only for businesses but extremely valuable for parents as well, so they know where are the opportunities so they can direct their children. It's important for entrepreneurs to note as well as, which sectors can I expect to move over the next 12 months.
Presenters will include the Minister of Economic Affairs, Michael Halkitis.
We know that in Abaco there continues to be a housing challenge, but it's not just in Abaco. What we have found in our 8 islands where we do the business outlook is that housing is always a key issue, and so we are pleased that the Honourable JoBeth Davis is going to address this. In October, we will then be in Exuma, and in November, Long Island. So this is our fall schedule for outlooks, and I would encourage people to join the outlooks to find out where are the investment opportunities. I would encourage people throughout the Bahamas to look at investing in our family islands.
And the latest in sports, Grand Bahama native Mike Strawn making his season debut with the Colts. Meanwhile, Jonquil Jones and the Sun lose Game 1 of the finals. Here's Marcellus Hall.
All right, thanks a lot, Christina. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Mike Strawn had a bit of a off year last season in his rookie season as he had some injuries to deal with. This year, hoping for a much better turnaround, making his season debut with the Indianapolis Colts as they took on the Houston Texans. Let's take a look.
Bahamian NFL wide receiver and Grand Bahama native Mike Strawn seeing some action yesterday. NFL season getting underway week 1. The Indianapolis Colts taking on the Houston Texans in this one. Strawn played on 11 of the offense, 92 snaps. Didn't have a huge role, but did manage to grab 2 receptions during the course of the day. That looks pretty good for him as he now has a chance without the starting wideouts to maybe break into that top 4 in terms of the playing reps. So it looks as if Strawn has established himself as a viable option for the Indianapolis Colts. They unfortunately do not get a win here. Don't get a loss either, if that makes any sense. 20-20 ends up being the final score, the only tie of the day on week number 1. Shifting our attention now to the WNBA, where Game 1 of the WNBA Finals getting underway. Jonquil Jones, Connecticut Sun, into action against the Las Vegas Aces. And, this one will be a pretty good game. Las Vegas rallying down the stretch as they get the win here. 67-64 ends up being your final. They take Game 1, the Aces do. Sun now back to the drawing board. They got to have to figure this one out. As for Jonquil, she played 30 minutes on the day, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. All in a losing effort. Game 2 of the series comes your way on Tuesday when they take on the Aces again in Las Vegas. That game starts at about 9 o'clock. Hopefully, Jonquil and the Sun can even things up there.
And that is your look at sports here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Don't go away. Greg is back with our extended weather outlook. And a family left mourning after a young man's life is cut short. His sister speaks out. The story when our news continues.
size at 6'5".
Hi, this is Shamik.
Welcome back to our news. Thunderstorms remain in the area as meteorologists keep an eye on two disturbances in the tropics. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look ahead.
Thanks again, Christina. Well, of course, we are in the statistical peak of the season right now. Looking at our charts, September 10th, which was the weekend just passed, around that time is when we tend to see most of our activity. But we've only had 5 named systems for the season so far, and things are still quiet out there. We're watching 2 areas. We'll see that in our satellite view. But we also have another peak midway through October. So things are not really out of, we are not really out of the woods. So we will continue to watch the Atlantic hurricane season. Of course, once again, numbers are above average, and we will continue to keep our eyes pointed out there in the Atlantic. We have, like I said, 2 systems that we're watching. One just about the central Atlantic, but it's expected to approach Leeward Islands by the middle to the end of the week. Potential for that is kind of low, so we will not really see much in terms of any significant development of that system. Then we have another system that's about to come off Africa tonight and should get to the south of the Cabo Verde Islands. That also has a very low chance for formation over the next couple of days. So things are still quiet, but don't rest your laurels yet, because it could get busy in a short while. As I mentioned, that system out there in the open Atlantic, a lot of disorganized showers and thunderstorms associated with that, all moving towards the west-northwest, and should get near the Leeward Islands once again by middle to the end of the week, and may get its act together, but low chance for formation. Another one coming off the African coast, that also has a low chance for formation, but tropics really quiet, and we don't expect tropical cyclone formation over the next couple of days. Boating forecast, there is a significant swell out there, so we're asking you boaters and you beachgoers to exercise caution. There's a high chance for some rip currents if you plan on doing any swimming. Southeast to south winds at 10 knots. They will fall light and variable at times across the northwest Bahamas. Your seas will be 1 to 3 feet near shore, but they will be up to 7 feet offshore in some moderate swells. Your high tide will be at 10:13 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast for the next 7 days. Off and on showers, 2 systems, one an upper level low near Cuba and another one near Puerto Rico. Could increase our chances for showers through Thursday, and things quiet down, but those swells are being formed by what was once Earl and will continue to keep us rather choppy for the next couple of days. That's our look at weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Thanks, Greg. Well, days after a young man's life was tragically cut short on Lazaretto Road, his sister is remembering him as a nice and lovable person. She says coping with his murder has not been easy.
I wouldn't say a person who was rude or disrespect anybody. If you see anybody, to know him was to love him.
That's the sister of 20-year-old Relgie Noel, who was brutally murdered on Lazaretto Road late Saturday night. Police were unable to give many details that night, but Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Chrislyn Skipping said the Junkanoo lover was shot multiple times. Louie recalls what it was like when she got news that her little brother had been tragically killed.
It was shocking. To me right now, I'm still in disbelief, because I never thought that it would have happened to him. So up to this day, I just don't feel like it's real, because I feel like he gonna come somewhere to come home.
Noel says her brother, who was the middle child, was always active and was involved in multiple extracurricular activities.
Nice, kind. He was very active. He used to participate in Junkanoo, church. He was a musician, actually. He loved music. Participate. Junkanoo, soccer, church.
Now, she says, her family is left reeling from the loss, adding it has been especially difficult for her mother.
It's been rough. She's shaking. It ain't easy at all, especially for her. I wouldn't understand, because I don't have no kids. So it's rough.
We also asked her what would she say to those responsible for her brother's death.
The only thing I could say is I leave everything in God's hands. because there's nothing I can do and I can't get him back.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. As always, police are asking for any help in solving this murder. Thanks for joining us for Our News Tonight. I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.